Dan Perry here with another Dan on Tech Python video. Sometimes when we're doing compound conditions, we need to do ands and ors. What is the order of priority? How are the ands and ors evaluated? Well, when we do that, what we want to do is we want to control the order so there's no confusion. And we'll do that with using parentheses. Remember, with math operations, anything inside of parentheses is treated first. So inside parentheses is done before outside of the parentheses. What we had previously is we were looking at an OR statement where we had if score greater than 70 or less than 10, score 2 less than 10. Let's change this one, and let's say that if we have score greater than 70 or score less than 10, and that goes back to just a standard OR where either side can be true. In this case, both sides can never be true. You can never have a score greater than 70 or less than 10. Just to illustrate it before we add the AND condition, let's go ahead and run this one. And it doesn't matter what I put in for score 2, but I'm going to put in a 50 for score, and doesn't matter what I do for the second number, and it says the scores are wrong. If I run it with a 90 for the first number, and it doesn't matter about the second one, the scores are right. Same thing would happen if I made score 5, as long as one of those are true. We've got that setting, and if I want the OR part done first, I put it in between parentheses. Then I can do AND. So let's say score 2 greater than 50. So in this case, score 2 has to be greater than 50. Score has to be either greater than 70 or less than 10. So let's run this and see what we can find out. First time I run it, I'm going to make score greater than 70, so that part's true of the OR, and I'm going to make score 2 greater than 50. Put a 90 and a 60 in for score and score 2, and so when we evaluate it, we found out it says the scores are right. We look at it. This is true. Score is greater than 70. This is false. Score is not less than 10, but because that's an OR, that statement is true. Because it's in the parentheses, it is evaluated first. Then score 2 is true. It is greater than 50. And so the true and the true here give me a true result. Well, let's run it with different numbers. This time I'm still going to make score 2 true, but I'll make score 5. So score is 5, so we've got a 5, and we've got a 70 for score 2, and it says, hey, the numbers are right. Well, let's see what happened here. Score was 5. This is false. This is true, but again, the OR yields a true, and this one is true. So true and true gave us a true. Because of the parentheses, we did the OR first. Well, let's try it again. This time I'm going to make the stuff in the parentheses false, so I'm going to put a 50 there. And I'm still going to put a 60 or a true condition for score 2. And I got the scores are wrong. Well, let's see what happened. This is false. and this is false, yielding a false here. This is true. But with an and, a true and false gives us a false, so the statement is false and the scores are wrong. Well, let's look one more time. This time I'm going to go ahead and for the first number put a 90 in, so what's in the ors are true. But I'm going to put a 40 in for score 2, and it says the scores are wrong. Well, when we look at it, the 90, this is true, this is false, but it yields a true because it's an or. This is false, so once again, a true and a false yields a false. So the statement is false. Now let's change the program a little bit. And this time, I'm going to have the or, but I'm going to have the and on the other one, and I'm going to say score, make both on the and side score 2. But I'm going to say score 2 less than 100 and score 2 greater than 50. This time the and takes priority because it's in the parentheses. We run it, and I'll put in 100 for score. I'll put in 75 for score 2. The numbers are right. This was true. This was true because score 2 was less than 100. This is true. Score 2 is greater than 50. The and is true. And the or, it's ORed with this one, which is true, but true or true is also true. Our statement is true. Well, let's try some different numbers. This time I'm going to make score false, the score side. So 50, and stick with 75 on the other, and it says the scores are right. Well, this is false. This is true. This is true. This time, the false, because these two are true, yields a true. The false or true yields a true this way. So as long as what's in the parentheses are true, this can be false. And a last test, I'm going to make 50 for the score. I'm going to make 150 for score 2. And now, overall, I've got a false because this is false. This is false. This is true. But the anding together gives me a false. False or false is false. So I had a full false there. Be careful of your inequalities, because if I said score 2 less than 100 and score 2 greater than 150, it could never be true, because there's no way both of those could be the same. We could also run into a problem with an or when we're comparing the same value. If I said something was greater than 50 or that same something was less than 100, that would always be true and never be false. So be very careful with your ands and ors when you're working. Thank you for watching this Dan on Tech video. Please subscribe to this playlist so you don't miss future videos. Please check out and subscribe to our other Dan on Tech channel playlists.